Hello there, my name is Arthur. I'll keep the introduction quick so we can get into the actual guide. I'm currently Archon, but you probably don't care about that. So this is aimed at people with less than 100 matches. And let's be honest, you're probably here because of the Netflix show. That's fine, I don't judge. And if you ever feel like learning any of the other 4 heroes featured in the show, you can check out my playlist right up here in the right corner. It will be a lot easier to follow along if you've already completed the in-game tutorial. But if not, that's fine as well. Anyways, let's get right into it. So there are 2 types of Dragonite playstyles. There is mid Dragonite and offlane Dragonite. My advice would be to play offlane Dragonite at every opportunity possible. Mid is good, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot more complicated. So, while I'll only talk about the offlane Dragonite today, pretty much everything I'm talking about is pretty applicable to mid as well. So, in the end, it's up to you, but I would really recommend playing offlane. Okay, first of all, the in-game guide is completely fine. There is enough depth to the items just to relate to the Dragonite I could talk about it for weeks, but that's kinda necessary until you reach a certain point of competence. If you really care about items, you can check out the link in the description. So what does Dragonite do then? What are his strengths and what are his weaknesses? Well, let's take a quick look at his abilities. So the first one, his Q, sends out a fire breath that deals damage and makes the enemy's attacks weaker. His W is just a stun. And the E is a passive ability that gives you armor and health regen. And finally, we have his most defining ability, Dragon Form. This ability does a lot of different things depending on its level. But all you really need to know is that his stun gets longer and his attacks deal a lot more damage, especially to towers. So the first question you might have is, what abilities do I even go? In what order do I upgrade them? Well, the simple rule is always get your ult when possible and get 1 point in each ability starting out, and then max the Q and the E ability. So when picking your talents under this little talent tree right here, I would recommend always going to the left pathway, fully through, only click the left ones. It's not perfect in every game, but it's good enough in my opinion, and that's what I would recommend. If you feel like experimenting, feel free to pick whatever talent you want. They're all fine, honestly. But for now, let's just keep it simple. The left ones, they are the most versatile. So, while knowing all of this can be helpful, the most important thing when starting out is to formulate a game plan. And I'll actually categorize it into 3 sections: early game, middle game, and late game. So let's start with the early game. For Dragonite, this is the time before he gets his ult at level 6. Keep your health above half as much as possible, and if you ever feel yourself needing to convert health to mana, you can use the Soul Ring, which you'll probably buy at around 5 minutes if you follow the in-game guide. In the middle game, when you have gotten your ult, you want to use it at every opportunity possible, with your main goal being to hit the enemy towers. Dragonite, believe it or not, is one of the best early pushers in the game, and you want your enemies to really feel that pressure. Also, try to only fight when in dragon form, since it makes a huge difference on your impact in fights. Finally, in the late game, the game plan becomes really specific to what heroes the enemy has. The general game plan is to always keep buyback. Buyback, for those who don't know, is a mechanic that allows you to respawn immediately after dying, as long as you have the gold required. To see how much gold you need, you can always hover on the little gold icon in the bottom right corner of your screen. Other than that, your main condition will be to kill Roshan, get the Aegis of Immortality, and push the enemy's high ground. So I tried to fit as much as possible onto this image right here. So if you feel like it, take a screenshot or put it on another monitor. But remember, this is just guidelines. If you have a friend who plays Dota or you just feel like it, experiment, do something else, do whatever you want. This is just for those of you who want to progress a bit faster and get a certain level of competence immediately. But nothing that I mention here is mandatory. And one of the beautiful things about Dota is that almost every player has different ideas and methods. So, I mean, feel free to experiment and just have fun, honestly. I'm also always open to doing some replay analysis. So if you want to get some pointers on where to improve, you can always just play a game and then send me the match idea. And you know, I'll release a video in a couple of days. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see the other hero guides, then just wait a week or two and they'll be out. And you know, if you like my content, thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.